Silicon Valley's titans are burning billions to build an AI infrastructure that makes them the gatekeepers of human intelligence. They view a rack of H100S as a tax, a simple cost of business. But they are missing the singular flaw in their architecture that could collapse their empire overnight. I see the operating system of the future hiding in the wreckage of their strategy. You don't replace an ecosystem by swapping silicon. You replace the world. Is still betting on us. I am Jensen Huang, and I have spent the better part of 3 decades building a company that functions as the nervous system of modern intelligence. Right now, the largest companies on earth are making a different bet. They are pouring hundreds of billions of dollars into their own silicon, trying to reclaim the margins they hand over to us every quarter. It is a bold move. It is a logical move, but it misses the most important part of the equation. When you look at the industry, you have to see it as a 5 layer cake. You have the energy grid, the chips themselves, the server infrastructure, the massive foundation models, and finally, the applications that reach the user. Many of these giants want to own the second and third layers while ignoring the fact that they all need to bake together. If you move too fast, the cake collapses. I've seen this cycle play out before. Silicon is a commodity. Ecosystems are a moat. And as of today, we possess the widest, deepest moat in the history of computing. Consider the math. As of 2025, we held approximately 86% of the high-end accelerator market. That is not an accident of history. It is the result of years spent investing in CUDA, our software platform. You see, it is easy to design a chip. You can take a design to TSMC, work with a partner like Broadcom or Marvel, and get a piece of silicon that does matrix multiplication. People do it all the time, but a chip without the software to drive it is just a very expensive paperweight. When developers spend their lives optimizing code for our architecture, they aren't going to just throw it away because a cloud provider decided to save a few percent on their data center bill. That engineering inertia is massive. It is the invisible wall that keeps our partners close, even when they wish they were doing it alone. But let us be honest about the pressure. The 4 biggest cloud providers, Alphabet, Amazon, Meta, and Microsoft, are projected to spend over $725 billion on capital expenditures in 2026 alone. That is a staggering sum of money. When nearly half of your revenue is tied to 4 customers, you pay attention when they start whispering about custom chips. Look at Google. They have been working on their tensor processing units or TPUs since 2015. They are masters of the craft. And in the first quarter of 2026, they took the significant step of selling those units externally. It is a challenge, a direct one. But I have always told our team that competition is the fuel that keeps us sharp. Without pressure, the engine gets sluggish. Amazon is pushing hard with their Trainium and Inferential lines, boasting over $225 billion in revenue commitments. Microsoft has Maya. Meta has their MTIA accelerator. It looks like a storm is brewing. But remember what I said about the unique instance. When you look at where these custom chips are actually working, you often find a very narrow set of use cases. Take the Anthropic deal with Google. It is massive, yes, but it is a specialized instance. Without that specific partnership, would we see that kind of growth in TPU usage? I doubt it. Our hardware is the general purpose engine of the intelligence age. We aren't building a tool for one model. We are building the infrastructure for all of them. If this is clicking for you, subscribe and stick around. We are only getting to the heart of why this war is about to get much more interesting. Now, here is the part that people often miss. The industry consensus was that we would keep the training market, the big, heavy lifting of building a foundational intelligence, while the cloud giants would win the inference market or the actual serving of that intelligence to users. That was the deal. That was the status quo. But look at the cracks in the wall. When labs like Anthropic start testing their frontier models on non-NVIDIA silicon, the fortress is no longer impenetrable. They are testing the limits. They are asking if they can avoid the NVIDIA tax. And frankly, I don't blame them. Anyone in their position would do the same. But here is the secret that the market hasn't fully digested yet. The demand for compute is so vast, so hungry, that we are entering a phase of total saturation. There is no winner-take-all scenario anymore. The market is becoming heterogeneous. It is a mix of GPUs, bespoke ASICs, and specialized hardware that all need to coexist. Our role isn't to be the only chip in the data center. Our role is to be the best. And every time a competitor releases a new chip, we release Blackwell. Then we follow it with the Rubin architecture. We keep the bar moving upward. We aren't just selling a piece of metal and silicon. We are selling a roadmap. We are selling the promise that if you bet on us, you will always be a generation ahead of the person who is trying to do it themselves. Think about the partners like OpenAI. We aren't just selling to them, we are integrating our solutions into their stack. We are becoming the substrate upon which the entire AI revolution runs. When you see the massive growth in companies like Broadcom, who are helping these giants scale their own designs, you aren't seeing the death of Nvidia. You are seeing the explosion of the entire sector. Yes, our growth ceiling might be compressed if they successfully shift 30 to 50% of their compute to internal hardware. That is a reality I discuss with my investors every single day. But what if they don't? What if their custom silicon can't match the speed of our roadmap? What if the software ecosystem proves too difficult to replicate? Then we aren't just winners. We are the gatekeepers. We are the ones defining the pace of innovation. And that, my friends, is a place I am very comfortable standing. I remember sitting in Denny's when we first started this company. I remember when we were fighting just to make decent graphics for gamers. People laughed at us then too. They said the market was too small or too crowded or that others were better positioned. We are still here, and we are still driving the train. So there you have it. The state of the chip war seen from the heart of the storm. It isn't a simple story of villains and heroes. It is a story of capital, engineering, and the sheer brutal momentum of progress. The hyperscalers are doing exactly what they should be doing. They are innovating. They are pushing boundaries. And in doing so, they are forcing us to become better, faster, and more essential than we have ever been. The next few years will define the infrastructure of the next century. And despite the noise, despite the bespoke silicon and the massive capital expenditures, I like our chances. Because when the dust settles, you don't just need a chip. You need the ecosystem that makes that chip actually matter. If you got value from this, share it with someone who needs to see the real stakes of the AI revolution and subscribe so you don't miss our deep dive into the next wave of the Blackwell rollout. The landscape is shifting under our feet, but as long as we keep building, the world will keep looking our way. Thank you for your time. Let's see what happens next.